All right, click the links for Odyssey Biz to join this channel, supporting the various other links, or to join the Telegram and Gab. So the Washington Post issues corrections after Taylor Lorenz falsely claims to have contacted YouTubers, that umbrella guy, and Legal Bites for comment on the Depp Heard trial. You know, people make mistakes when writing articles. That's not a big deal. But a fair, impartial, unbiased media would, when they have to issue a correction, would simply make a note and say, hey, here's the original archive version. We're not trying to hide anything. This is on this archive. And this new edited version, we edited, column X and row Y line so and so, and we edited it. Here's the old version, this is the new version. We're not hiding anything. We're open and above board. We're definitely not Lugan Press, not yellow journalism. Well, sweet summer child, what's the color of this guy in your world? The media is not the media anymore. Media hasn't been the media kind of since the 2001. Things started to go mask off. If you were paying attention, it was kind of about that time. Media's always had a left-wing bias, and forever. But that was a big line in the sand. And then Trump's arrangement syndrome was the next big line in the sand. After that, they did things like Newsweek published a picture of Trump and that little girl standing at the border, this little 4-year-old crying kid, and Trump's looking down at her. And then we saw the original photograph on social media. And it shows like a mother and daughter. The mother were standing 4 inches away from the daughter. She's filling out paperwork, and the child was crying. It's like children cry fairly often, and visually it looks like the child is just dying. It's like, no, 4-year-olds cry pretty often about dropping their doll or something. It's just nonsense. But Newsweek published that picture. You look at that picture, and then we showed the original picture. Like, oh, so Newsweek is over. Yeah, it's kind of just, once you lose credibility, you become like Snopes. Like, nobody references Snopes with a straight face, because you look at Snopes and you realize, oh yeah, Snopes is just, it's just insane left-wing bias. So the Washington Post, Taylor Lorenz, she's of the Libs of TikTok fame, where she got a history of doxing people and going behind parents' backs and talking to children's and teenagers and weird stuff like that. She went after Geller, who's got a somewhat conservative website, then Kellyanne Conway, and a bunch of other people. And she's writing articles. There's a quote of her. She's interviewing teenagers, and she says some article like, yeah, I've got to chase teenagers around and go to their house and talk to them when their parents aren't there about things that their parents don't know about. And you read that article and you look at Taylor Lorenz, and you look at her history. She's on Kiwi Farms, long history over, and you realize, she's not playing with the full deck. She's got some kind of sociopathic tendencies, borderline personality. Something's wrong with her, and she doesn't see it, which is not such a big deal. There's a lot of people like that, unfortunately. The bigger deal is that she's working for Washington Post after having a long history of writing these articles and doing a lot of shady behavior, like using burner accounts to spy on people in Clubhouse, and that's against the policy of the company she's writing articles for. And then she brags about it on Twitter, and brags about a lot of weird stuff on Twitter, to the point where you look at it like, I know you're not firing on all 8 cylinders. Where she doxes Libs of TikTok, she goes after, doxes the family, shows up at the house, and a few days later, the artistic geniuses on 4chan, I guess, or other people, probably Kiwi Farms and Gab and Telegram, start doxing Taylor Lorenz's family. So she goes on Twitter and just wigs out over doing what she did to other people, and then she starts, she's being interviewed and she's crying in the interview. It's like, Taylor Lorenz, you try to destroy people's lives. It's kind of the same thing in Comicsgate, where people go after some of the big names in Comicsgate and try to destroy their life, go after them, destroy their business, go after their families, every aspect of their life, bring up past court proceedings, stuff that everyone has gone through, divorces and bankruptcies and businesses open and close. It's like, yeah, we've all gone through that. It's kind of weird that you would go through court proceedings to to look up that private information and publicly disclose those private facts. It's what stalkers do, and SJWs are behaving like stalkers. So they did that with Comicsgate, and it's like, well, who's the bad guy here? It's like you got a back and forth, but like it's only one group of people who are doing the really shady stuff, and that's the SJWs. They did it with Tug too. They dox him. They dox everybody. If you're in the public sphere, you're going to get doxed. That's just part of life. And but what Taylor Lorenz was doing, she's showing up on people's doors. And It's not a good thing to do. I'll leave it at that. I was going to be cute, but I'll just leave it at that. I was going to say, in America, is that enough to avoid the algorithm? So they're issuing, she's lying, and then she doesn't say that she issues their editorial notice that they changed the article, which is just a flat admission of saying, oh, Washington Post is not the way you remember it. CNN is not the way you remember it. I saw videos of CNN manipulating scenes to recreate scenes. It's like, okay, you recreated a scene. I get why you would do that. You're trying to tell a journalistic story and maintain the truth as much as possible. That's fine, as long as you admit that you manipulated the scene. And then when the regular scene comes out, CNN didn't admit it, but somebody was standing behind them with a Samsung filming the whole thing, and they put the video out online. You're like, oh yeah, CNN manipulated the scene. They didn't tell anyone they manipulated it, but I have it on video. Or when Hillary Clinton, it was a really muggy day, that 9/11 memorial, Washington, and she just passed out tossed a sack of potatoes into her handy-capable van. Weird, it's not a limo, it's a handy-capable van, probably equipped with oxygen. And oddly enough, they didn't take her to the hospital. So, which means passing out must be a regular occurrence for her. Anyway, if it wasn't for some private guy with an Apple phone recording that and putting it on all the alt media platforms, the mainstream media wouldn't have published it because they're carrying water for Hillary Clinton. But nowadays everyone has got a phone. Everyone is filming everything all the time, and if it's something juicy like that, well, they're gonna put it online. Anyway, so Taylor Lorenz is not playing with the full deck, but she's still employed by Washington Post, and she has a long history of doing shady behavior. So it's like, oh, so you're saying Washington Post is approving of her behavior? Yeah, respondeat superior. Of course, yes. That's yes. And what else would it be? It's her employer is accepting of her behavior. Either that, or they're negligent and not being aware of their behavior. And of course, they're aware of behavior. This is what they want. They want. But the weird thing is, like you're saying, it's weird that Washington Post would say, oh, we're nothing more than an Inquirer now, because it didn't feel like that's the direction Washington Post wanted to go in, where we're just going to be, Snopes or Reuters or somebody or AP. It's like just openly left-wing bias, to the point where, being a media company now has got to be rough enough. Anyway, so she published this article and she issued a correction, or I'm sorry, she changed the article, but she didn't let people know that she had changed it, that they had contacted Tug and all these other guys, and they got on Twitter, and they here's the thing with them. The reason the herd and the depth thing bothered them so much, and talking about how much money Tug made from it. It's like, well, Tug's on YouTube. He's been on there for several years, providing entertainment, some cases news, but most of the time it's infotainment. But it's what people want, and they're willing to pay for it. And so she estimates, how much she made from Social Blade, which is like, it estimates from $5,000 to $80,000. So you tell me the estimate is almost worthless. But to be fair, Super Chats, PayPal, Subscribestar, CashApp, Patreon, all these other things add up to where the estimate is like, yeah, he was probably making a very serious. That's why people chase the algorithm, because if you're talking about, oh yeah, you made $100,000 last month. Like how much was Nick Rekieta making when he was covering? I forget the last big case he was covering. I think it was one. Was it? I think it was the one before Amber Heard where he had like 100,000. Was it Rittenhouse? He had like 100,000 people on a live stream. It must have been a YouTube record. And in fact, it was the narrative was getting out of control that they had to shut it down. Gee, I thought it was YouTube. That's why if you're smart, you're spreading out to all these other, Odyssey and Locals and DLive and all these other platforms, as many other platforms as possible. And God, it would be sweet if people would start dual live streaming on Odyssey just to get that kind of going. Anyway, so she's trying to craft this narrative against Johnny Depp and for Amber Heard, because it deals with this, hashtag Me Too, believe all women. Because what that does is destroy society. Giving women, are you saying giving women agency destroys society? Yeah, I know it's kind of a convoluted topic and a very triggering one if you're left wing and you heard that. And like, the 19th Amendment was a mistake? Oh, absolutely. Of course it was. So they have a narrative to push, like hashtag Me Too and Time's Up. And you go, oh, so why did Me Too dry up? You guys were doing Me Too, and that was catching on with the Italian girl who's in the show with Tony Danza. I forget her name. Alyssa Milano. Why did Me Too dry up? Oh, because the guys you were catching were not the guys. A lot of Weinsteins. They were not the characters you wanted to catch. Oh. So there's no more Me Too because we caught too many Weinsteins? Yeah. Are we going to talk about it? No. Oh. You want to get kicked off YouTube? Because that's how you get kicked off YouTube. Say that name a few more times, buddy. So that was the end of... I don't give a fuck. I mean, I do, but it's inevitable. That was the end of Me Too. That's just simply... You go, oh, it was huge for a while, and then it just kind of petered out. Yeah, that's why. That's a simple reason. And you think, oh, don't they have the courage of their convictions? No, of course not. They will blow the D of Hollywood. You go, oh, if they had the courage of the convictions, they wouldn't be applauding, Woody Allen and Roman Polanski and Weinstein and being on Epstein's flight logs, at these Oscar awards, applauding these people for years. Just the worst people on earth. Go. So, whose names is Ghislaine Maxwell have in her book? It's weird, talking about videos not getting monetized. Ghislaine Maxwell, right? She went to jail, prison. Of course, she had her sentence reduced by the judge. So the guys who were on that island with Epstein and Maxwell, where are their trials? Oh, well, you're going to be waiting a long time for those trials. Elon Musk is touching on that, which means it's been nice knowing you, Elon, because you're a very wealthy, powerful person, but I think Hillary Clinton might have you beat in that department. And in terms of viciousness, I think, people who have the Clintons have a body count behind them. I'll talk about not only demonetizing the video, but like shadow banning it also. The Clintons have such a count behind them in that regard that, like, if you're not in politics and you're not vicious like that, I'm a vicious businessman, I'm a Trump or Elon Musk, yeah, but politics is different. Like, politics is, like, when they say they have a body count behind them, I mean, you can look it up, it's like 50 people. It's like, are some coincidences? For sure. But are some actual hits? Yeah, probably. I mean, that's politics. And I kind of, it's probably more like, oh, but they're talking about the way Putin has political enemies dispatched, and you think, oh, he takes an umbrella and it's got like tetrodotoxin in the tip and a hypodermic, and they stab someone in a crowd. Yeah, that's pretty clever. So what about Seth Rich and all the other American? Oh, those are just drug deals gone bad at 6 a.m. for a guy who doesn't. Oh, those are some muggings gone bad. Really? Guy taking out his trash, nothing was stolen? Guy had information on Hillary Clinton? Oh, yeah, Epstein. Yeah, he just used toilet paper in a self-deletion watch cell where they only give you a few squares of toilet paper for the day. And to be fair, to be blunt, you're not eating much. They're not giving you a lot of material to which you would harm yourself because you're on a watch specifically for that. Oh, but the camera shut off. And his French partner, the guy had citizenship with another nation, it wasn't France, was in a French prison, and he actually did the same thing. The camera shut off again. Weird. Feels like there's a shadow government under the surface of the mainstream government. Like, we're so close to talking about it. Everyone's kind of waiting for a big politician. This messiah complex, it means you're waiting for an external force to come save you. That had nothing to do with religion. It's a kind of in a political sphere. Like, the right does it with Trump. Like, we're waiting for Trump. He's going to come back. It's like, no, the person's in the mirror. It's you and your neighbors. We're the only ones we have. We're it. We're absolutely it. Anyway, like, I keep getting off topic on YouTube, and again, I guess I just don't care anymore about YouTube. Maybe I should. I don't know. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, see you guys on the next episode.